Smash that like button and subscribe, hit that bell. Hey guys, what's up? This is SonicSol here, and I wanted to make a video on Garo Densetsu, Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. I wanted to make a tutorial on Jenet, seeing as how I am 18th place on the leaderboard, so I'm top 20 in the world for rank. And in character mastery, I'm number 4 if I'm correct. And yeah, my name is Jenet on the game. It's not SonicSol. So if you ever look up any replay footage of me online, it's Jenet. I've been playing this character a lot since the first beta, and now the game has come out, and I've been having a lot of fun with the character. But there's not many people playing Jenet. There's only like 2 other people that I think are above me that are playing the character. That's Wouty and Alpha. They're both really good Jenet players, and some of the stuff I did learn from them, but a lot of things I've had to like gather myself and learn myself. So I wanted to share with you guys everything that I know about Jenet. I wanted to cover all the stuff, her combos, her set play, her safe jumps, her plus frames, everything, so that way you guys can be prepared to play this character and that you too can, you know, do well with Jenet. So let's just get right to it. So Jenet is the type of character that is a tricky rushdown character. She's the type of character that is able to thread the needle and eventually get in and do a lot of damage, and also have a lot of pressure that you have to deal with within strike throw mix-ups. She's the type of character that's going to be doing a lot of movement, fast movement, right? Between wave dashing, jumping in, hopping, using tomahawk and feint in order to get in with her jump-ins. She's also got a dive kick that she can use. She's got 2 different versions that hops her up and leaves her down below. She can also do dive kicks from her backdash, and she's got this unique dive kick as well that she can do without needing to spend meter from her backdash. She's got a lot of ways to throw her opponent off in terms of her approach in air game, and it makes it very annoying to kind of stop her air approach and pin her down. But that doesn't mean she can't play neutral either. She's got really good buttons like far C, 2C, right? And once one of these buttons connect, she can hit confirm them into a lot of damage. And of course, when she gets in, she's got a lot of this pressure. You know, her close C feints are really good at creating frame trap scenarios. Same with her 5D feint. She can use these more or less to be annoying and frame trap against the opponent. So let's say she lands the hit from like a jump in or whatever, she can really make it hurt, right? So, and that's just a basic combo. That combo did like a fourth, if not 40 to 45% of their life. So she does a lot of damage when she actually gets the hit. That's pretty much Jenet's strategy in a nutshell. She's going to be annoying with all this fast movement, right? And then eventually when she gets the hit, she's going to do a lot of damage, and she can play strike throw game and be annoying. And she's got a lot of air mobility to her. So she's got her close and standing light punch, her close and standing A. These are mostly just for hit confirms and for structuring block strings because they jail into each other. She can go into her far 5B or her far 5A, right? Which are both really good pokes within the mid-range, and also really good at converting into hind, which of course is going to be one of your main knockdowns. Her close 5As jail into each other like I mentioned before, so you can use this to structure some nice block strings, which if the opponent presses, it can be very bad for them because then they'll get hit into space traps. So for example, see that? If you structure her lights enough, you can kind of build that space to where you can space trap the opponent. That's also really good with how her lights jail into each other. Now, of course, she's also got her far 5B, but you're going to be using her far 5A more as a poke within that mid-range because clearly this doesn't reach as far as this. So her close B, you can frame trap into her far 5C, and then you get a combo. So you can use this to frame trap. 2B is obviously her low. She can do it twice into far 5L or far 5A, and then that gives her her combo. And it's a really good low to stop people from walking back. Some characters don't have really good lows, and she's one of them that has a really good low. So some characters don't have really good 2Bs, while others do, and she has a really good 2B. Her close 5C is probably the star of the show. This is one of the main normals where you're going to be structuring your offense using feints, right? So her close 5C, if you feint, it's +3, and you can go into her far 5C, which gives you her combo, right? So you can frame trap, and you can obviously mix it in between frame trapping them, and then when they stop pressing buttons, then obviously you can throw them, right? So that is how you'll structure some of the offense for them to worry about, along with other tools that we'll get into later. Her far 5C is one of her main pokes within the mid-range. Like I mentioned, you've got far 5L, but you also got far 5C, and it's also going to be what you frame trap into her combos. And it has a target combo follow-up where she can do forward or back plus heavy punch, and it gives her a second hit, so it makes it easier to hit confirm into her special moves. So for example, you see that it does 2 hits, so then you can easily hit confirm. That's pretty much why this button is good. It could turn a poke into an actual conversion that your opponent is gonna be surprised by, because this button is actually a really decent like stop sign button and a good way of like space trapping the opponent. See? Her 2C is also really good. It goes further than her far 5C. It's a really good poke in that it's very annoying for the opponent to like really press buttons. It's another like way of whiff punishing them, right? And she can obviously break it. She's not as plus as her close 5C, but it's good in that once you see them whiff, you can punish it. You can punish with that button and get a good combo from it. See? So this button is also really good. You have far 5C, but remember you also have this button, which is a really good poke as well. Then you have close 5D. Close 5D is not as plus as close C, because when you break it, it's +3, as opposed to this, which is +2, right? But they both will give you the same frame trap. So if they press, see, they get counter hit. But you want the frame advantage of close C, because then you can frame trap with a fierce. The good thing about this button though is that, let's say they try to jump out in the corner, you can kind of like catch their jump with her far 5D after, right? So you can use this to kind of like structure your offense to stop them from jumping out. Like far 5D is not a bad anti-air. You've got better anti-airs, of course, that will go over with her rev attacks. But this is really good at like jailing the opponent, or kind of like saying, no, you're not jumping out the corner. And this is really good off of things like her close 5D feint. Next, we've got her 2D. Her 2D is basically her sweep, right? You can do another one if it's a wild punish. So like if you do a sweep and then you whiff punish with it, you can do another one. See, it's just a standard sweep, but you're mostly going to be using her 2B anyway. Now for her air normals, she's got jump A, her jump light attack. This button is a really quick air to air. You also will use it in certain like setups to kind of like waste frames, but this is like your quick air to air. Your jumping medium, your jumping B is your main cross up. This is your jump light kick. You're gonna be using this to kind of cross up the opponent and basically like get in. You can use it with Tomahawk as your main like cross up. See that? And you can also use it for safe jumps, which we'll get into later. Her jump C is like a really good air-to-air and a really good poke, especially after Tomahawk. And you can use it to kind of structure your offense as well whenever you want to get started with your fierces. This is like a really good air-to-air. Probably something that you're going to be using a lot whenever you're trying to check your opponent's air approach, and also whenever you want to get in, right? So obviously when this button connects, it's like threading the needle. I like saying this terminology for it. It's like threading the needle because you're using this to kind of poke at the opponent and eventually land that hit to get the combo. So yeah, it's a really good air-to-air. And then her jump D is like her main like jump-in button that you're going to be using either for safe jumps or for hops or just in general, just when you're wanting to get that plus advantage so that way you could start your offense. Then of course she's got her 6B. Her 6B, you're not really plus after this. Like if I try to press, I'm going to get punished. And even if I try to space it, I'm not going to be as plus. See, I'm going to get counter hit. So she could do it from a jump and she could do it from a backdash, right? She's going to be using this to be annoying, right? She can use this to kind of like traverse the screen. She can also use this as a way to kind of bait anti-airs, because let's say the opponent tries to anti-air with like, you know, a rev action, be it their, you know, down heavy punch plus rev. So for example, let's say they try to anti-air with it, then I get a wild punish, right? I'm not plus to get a combo, but because I baited this, I'm plus enough to actually get a confirm, like a actual like block string going. Because I'm +4 here. In some cases, I could actually get a combo, but it really depends on the spacing at which the dive kick hit and how the move connected versus the rev dodge attack. But generally speaking, you're using this kind of as another way to move across the screen and also be annoying. She also has an air grab as well. So if you ever see somebody jumping in and they do something like this, you see how he just defended my anti-air? Well, that's why you have an air grab. You have an air grab to kind of stop people from JDing you. So that's really important to kind of condition the opponent to not just JD your anti-airs, which you get a good conversion from your anti-airs. So you want to condition them to stop JDing. So those are all of her normals and all of her buttons. She's obviously got her 2 throws here as well that give her a lot of advantage. But generally speaking, those are all of her main, like, normals. Now for her special moves. So, her first special move is her Baffles, her Fireball. She's got, like, 3 different versions. The first one is right in front of her. It's a shield, more or less. She can use it in front of her. She can also use it for knockdown pressure and Oki. But generally speaking, this is not like used for counter zoning per se. It's more used for offensive pressure because it can be plus on block at further distances. The heavy version acts as a traditional fireball, but it's a little slow and it takes a while to come out at about 25 frames. So you're not going to really be using this too often as a counter zoning tool. You will use it against fireballs, of course, but you can use it as well to gauge how your opponent approaches you. So like, let's say you throw this out, they might try to jump so you can anti-air them. Or you can use this as another way of faking what you want to do or changing how you want to approach. So for example, if you throw this fireball, your opponent will be thinking you might try to be throwing fireballs more. So they might try to jump in, or they'll start considering the fireball in your approach and you'll start going in with dashes or jumps, right? You want to make it so that way your opponent is looking for multiple things at once and you want to attack that mental stack. And this is really good for that, for conditioning the opponent into thinking about other things that B.I.G would want to do rather than just approach in a very linear way. The EX version is really good in that it's plus on block and it sucks the opponent in, as you can see. So this is a really good Okizeme tool, and also good for block string pressure that you want to structure when you're creating like mix-ups. One thing to know about the light baffles is that if you structure a block string well, you can make it so that way the baffles can be plus on block. I've made this thing about as much as +4, especially using like her standing far light. So for example, see this +2, +3, right? So you can use this to kind of like continue your pressure, because if your opponent tries to press on this situation, then they'll get counter hit. The best part about it is that when you knock someone down, you can use this on their wake up and you can be even more plus. You see, you can make it so that way the baffles is super plus on block on their wake up. So it's things like that that you want to do on Okizeme situations with the fireball, with the light fireball. And it's also really important because, as you see, the setup I just did made it so that way my far 5C is in range. So if they press, they'll get counter hit. Man, it helps me. See how plus that is? See how plus the fireball is? So if I use her fireball as a meaty here, it's enough to where I can actually do far 5C afterwards and the jab doesn't even come out. So if I delay it, it's a counter hit and then they get punished. So that's what's really good about using light baffles for Oki. As for EX baffles, you can use it for setups basically up close whenever they're guarding. If they're standing or crouch blocking, it'll depend on what side you'll land on with other special moves that you use. So for example, that's how you can use EX baffles in pressure. This is how you can use EX baffles and pressure to kind of structure like offense for like cross-ups, because it sucks them in. Obviously, if they stand block, then you'll be on the same side, but then you can change what you do. Throw. Right, it sucks them in, but then instead, you can do this. Right? Or this. Or this. So you have multiple options from EX baffles with Tomahawk, and I'll talk about Tomahawk in a minute, but that's also the projectile that you have there. Crazy Ivan, this is her dress attack. This move is safe on block, and you can kind of use it for ending like your pressure strings with it because it's safe. They can't punish you. The heavy version, however, is punishable, so just be careful. Just use the light version. You can also use this as your guard cancel. See? I can guard cancel into Crazy Ivan. And depending on what my opponent is doing, I can actually counter hit and launch them with the heavy version of Crazy Ivan. So for example, if Rock were to attack me here, right, and I just defend, I could go into Crazy Ivan. And you see on counter hit, if my opponent is doing something, they'll get launched, so then I get a combo. So as you can see, if you use Crazy Ivan for guard canceling, you'll launch them in the air and you get a full combo. So that's kind of important for whenever you're trying to defend against your opponent, because she doesn't really have a reversal. So being able to JD into this move is really important. Now the EX version, you're going to be using that mostly in confirms because it's safe on block, but on hit, then you get to actually go into your other rev action moves as well. See? But I never really use this unless they're crouching, so that way my combos will actually connect, because if they're crouching, for example, some of my other combos will not work. That works, but if I were to do this by itself, that doesn't combo. So Crazy Ivan is good for launching them whenever you want to do something like EX Tomahawk, since the first hit doesn't hit crouchers. The next special move is Golf Tomahawk. Golf Tomahawk is probably one of Jenet's most useful tools next to her dive kick, because her Tomahawk, she's got like two different versions. The first one lands in front of the opponent, and then the second one goes behind them, right? And then the EX version stays in front and is very fast. She can break this, which means that she doesn't have to do the follow-up. So she doesn't have to do like the follow-up attack that hits, right? She can break it and make it not hit. So you see how that hits? That doesn't hit, right? When you break it. This is really important because then you could get, you know, either mix-ups with throw, or you can get your cross-up, or you can get deep jump-ins that you normally wouldn't get from really short distances, meaning you get a really fast overhead that they have to worry about. Golf Tomahawk is also really good in neutral when you're using it, like I said before, with her JC. It's like a fish hook. You can use this to kind of thread the needle and get in. And it's really good for being able to get your conversion started. So that's why I said like Tomahawk is a very good tool. And you also use it in a lot of the setups that I showed off previously with baffles. I use the fireball here. You see how this crosses up because of two things: the baffles projectile and the Tomahawk moving her forward when I break it. This in and of itself is a really good move, the Tomahawk. It's how you're going to be moving. It's how you're going to be using like a lot of her tricky movement. And you could go into any of your air attacks from your Tomahawk. It doesn't even have to just be your normal moves. It could be dive kick. It could be 6B. You could do nothing and throw, right? So you should mix up how you use the Tomahawk in approaches. And by the way, if you don't want to break it and you want to use it normally, right? This move is plus on block. The heavy version is +2. Right? The light version is not as plus, it's safe on block, but the heavy version's plus, and you can use that to kind of just get more pressure if you wanted it. Next, we have the Hind. The Hind is one of her main combo starters and the combo enders. You can use this more or less as a combo starter, but you could also use it as an anti-air. So, for example, let's say my opponent jumps in on me. If you notice, I'm actually anti-airing him with the heavy version of Hind. And there's airborne invincibility on the Hind. So for characters like Hokutomaru, you can also use the Hind as well. See? And it actually will completely anti-air him. See? So the Hind has a lot of airborne invincibility, and you can use it to anti-air people, but it's also your main combo starter. And it can be broken. Obviously, the light version, you can't break it, but you can convert from it from your lights. And then the heavy version is the one that can be broken. and is safe on block when you do it. The EX version is plus on block. So for example, if I were to show you, it says +1. So you can go into your close heavy punch, or you can go into her lights, her close B, or far B rather. You're generally going to be using EX Hind in your pressure and also as a combo starter. So now her next move is her dive kick, her Harrier B. This is her primary dive kick. So she can do all the normal Harrier Bs from a forward jump. She can't do it from a back jump, right? But she could do it from a forward jump. She can also do it from Tomahawk, because she can break Tomahawk. Harrier B, she can go into this move, which will then go into her dive kick, and she can do it she could do her dive kick up to 4 times. Each of them having different frame data based on how low she is to the ground and also which hit it is. So for example, right, let's say I do Tomahawk, right, heavy Tomahawk into her dive, right, like that. If I were to do it low enough to the ground, he should be safe. See, she's safe. She's -2. So you can use this as another way of changing your approach. You don't have to do Tomahawk in the jump heavy punch. You can do Tomahawk in the dive and then be relatively safe as well to throw off your opponent on your approach. You can also use it whenever your opponent is like jumping. You can air to air them with the dive kick. So that's also really important whenever you're trying to close the distance and also prevent your opponent from coming after you in the air. It's also really good at changing your air approach because the light version pops her up a little bit. So it kind of throws off your opponent's anti-air. See, I avoided the anti-air, whereas if I didn't do that, I would have gotten anti-air. So you can use the Harrier as a way to avoid certain anti-airs as well whenever you're approaching in the air. The EX version is the one that you can do from a backdash, and it's the one you can do really low to the ground. The third hit of this dive is plus on block if you get it to be really low from your backdash. See, I'm +2. So that means if my opponent were to press a button after this, they would get counter hit. The EX version of her dive is really good for pressure. It's also really good in combo conversions as well. And you're going to be using it primarily after EX Hind. So it'll look something like this, for example. I'll just include them both. See? So you'll be using it in both pressure and in the middle of combos. It's also really good when you're trying to, of course, guard cancel, especially when you're guard canceling anti-airs. It's very good against DP break characters, and you want to know how to use it. So, as you can see, you can guard cancel DP breaks with the Harrier kicks, and using this can make your approach safe, or you can get away from the DP break scenario and return to neutral. So it's really important for stopping anti-airs by guard canceling here, because if you guard cancel while jumping in, you'll be able to avoid anti-airs and make it tricky for your opponent to really stop you from approaching in air when you're doing things like this. But the point is that you want to be using the Harrier kicks as a way to guard cancel out of these DP break situations. See? Her last special move that she has is her counter, which is her secret Mademoiselle. This is a counter move that is It's not frame 1, so you have to be careful. You can get meatied, so you can't use it like a reversal. This counter loses to cross-ups, and it also loses to lows. See? And it's not frame 1. However, this move is very active, so I can have it out for a long time, have Rock hit me, and it'll still trigger the counter animation. That's how active it is. It's active for a pretty long time. See that? You can use this kind of like an anti-air. You can also use it as a take your turn back move. So for example, if I have Rock try to press a button, see, you can take your turn back. You can take your turn back in certain situations where you're minus. You can use the counter to steal your turn back. But it depends on what button they press, right? Like, if they do like a close light attack, or the light attack is fast enough, then I'll get counter hit, right? But if I'm like really far away, then I'll connect. Like, it's usually like, I would say it's like 5 frames, 5 or 6 frames, give or take, that you'll be able to steal your turn back. But if it's like 4 frames, you're probably gonna get hit. The EX version of Secret Mademoiselle, you can do it without needing for the opponent to counter you. And this is one of your main like damage dealing attacks. So for example, in your combos, you're gonna be using it, and it does a chunk of damage. See? This move by itself does 154 damage. It contributes to a lot of the BMB damage that you do. But it also adds a lot of scaling to the combo as well. If this move hits as like a counter hit against something, if Rock does his rev blow and I counter it, it launches them. And then you get a full combo. So, if the Secret Mademoiselle lands as a counter hit, you get to actually launch punish them, and you get a full combo. So that's also something to note as well. Especially if somebody does like a rev blow, or if someone does something that's really minus in the block string, you can use Secret Mademoiselle as a way to be like, no, you can't do that, right? It's not really a reversal, but it is a counter, so you can use it in certain places where you might not be plus, or you might be further away, or they do something that's super negative or reactable. You don't need your opponent to trigger the counter for the EX version, which is important for BMBs. It's also one of the main ways you're gonna get a knockdown for your safe jumps next to EX Hein. So now I wanna go over her rev dodge and her rev blow. First thing I wanna go over is her rev dodges. Everyone has a universal overhead and a universal anti-air that they can use. Jenet has a universal overhead that she could use as a meaty and also as a throw bait. The thing about this rev dodge is that it's super active. So in situations like this where you have them in the corner, you can make her overhead rev dodge hit super late, and you can link her close standing heavy punch after to get a combo, which I think is really cool. Of course, like I said, you can use it to throw bait people, which is also good, and it also crushes lows. Then you have her main anti-air, which is her rev dodge. This button right here, her rev dodge, is really good at anti-airing. This is probably going to be the main anti-air you use, given that you can cancel it and you get a combo on hit with it. So you're generally going to be using this as your main anti-air tool. And like I mentioned before, people are going to want a JD against this. So that's why you have your air grab as well. But you want to be using this as your main anti-air tool. Her regular grounded rev blow is a 2-hitting attack that she leaps up in the air for. It's useful as an anti-air. So if people jump in on her, you can actually anti-air with it, and it can launch as well, which gives you a combo. Obviously, if it hits as a counter hit, you get a full combo. Right? So that pretty much is her rev blow in and of itself on the ground. In the air, this is what her rev blow looks like. You can kind of use this as another way of guard canceling whenever someone's trying to anti-air you. So for example, see, they can't DP break this. See? So you can basically use her air rev attack as a guard cancel against DP breaks as well, which I think is useful. Now for her supers. Her level 1 super, many torpedoes. It's a fast super. It comes out on frame 8. And it's really fast. And it's invincible. It's one of her main wake-ups. It's also one of her main combo enders that she can use. Right? You're mostly going to use this as your reversal, because she doesn't have a reversal. And you're also going to use this at the end of combos. Her other super, her Aurora, with the last hit, it does like 264. So in the corner, you're probably going to be using this super more than you're going to be using this one at the end of your combo. This is also really a good super, like if you're going to do it from your life as well. Your many torpedoes. The level 2 versions of these, they don't change too much. This comes out 1 frame faster at frame 7, and then the level 2 Aurora, it can be broken in the corner, and then you get Oki. So you can sacrifice damage for better Oki. Her last super is her JB14. This is her hidden gear. You're probably going to use this at the end of combos as well. Her high damage super. Most of these supers, like, you can use them as combo enders, but I think the one with the most utility is actually many torpedoes, because it's very fast. And so, for example, if I have Rock do Reppuken, right, and I do my many torpedoes, I can go through the fireball. If I try to do it, you know, when the fireball's on top of me, I could basically just get hit out of it. So you have to time it properly. See? Otherwise, you're just gonna get hit. See? So we went over all of her moves. Let's talk about combos, anti-air combos. Let's go over that. So her basic B&B off of her lights would be something like this. Her close B, 2B, 5A into the B version of Hind. So it looked like this. That's a basic combo that you can do, and it's a good hit confirm, and it includes a low. You can also do double 2B, the far light into Hind. These combos, you can also do it into the dress as well. Then you're gonna have your main B&B off of your far C. So you have something like this. Your D Hind after your far C. Do this. You're gonna break the D Hind. And then you're gonna do EX Hind. Right? Then after the EX Hind, you're gonna do the EX Harrier kicks, and you get all 4 of them. And then after that, you get B Hind. And that's a basic B&B that you get off of this far C. You can also cancel this as well into her Hind, but it doesn't combo. See? That's why far C, the target combo, is better. But you can do this into EX time, and it will combo. Let's say you land a jump in. This is probably going to be the combo that you do for most situations. If there's better, let me know in the comments down below. This is the combo I normally do. It costs 50 rev guard, right? It does 428 damage. The reason why I do this combo a lot is because it leads into a safe jump that I know how to do. All you have to do is jump D, close C, feint it, far C into the target combo, EX Tomahawk, EX counter, and then EX time. And that's the combo. It's good damage, and it gives you the safe jump anywhere on screen. I normally do this combo mid-screen, and it's pretty good for no meter and just 50 rev. In the corner, she has a more damaging combo. This is what most B.G do. I haven't done it as much, but you can use this, and I probably will use it myself. So it looks something like this. So that's the combo that most Jenets are doing, and it does 482 in the corner. It's almost half life without super. That's probably her most optimal combo, if I'm correct. But if there's anything better, let me know in the comments down below. This is the main combo that a lot of B.G use in the corner. Like I said, I don't do it as much. I go for the easy stuff. But if this is optimal for you guys, and you guys can implement it, do it. Especially because you can also safe jump with this. So for example, you can do just that as the ender. There we go. So that's a safe jump, right? And most people will end the combo with the butt into it. But you can do the full combo that I mentioned before, and it does, like I said, 482. It does a lot of damage. If you want to learn a combo into her super, then it would be what I mentioned prior. Into her level 1. That combo would just be your main jump in. The Tomahawk counter, Pine, Harrier, and then level 1 super. That would be your main combo into level 1 super. Obviously, you can do the same combo in the corner that we talked about before. See? That's 602 damage. So if you do the corner super with the optimal combo, they're pretty much at 40% left. So those are some of her main like grounded combos that you can do. Here are some anti-air combos. So let's say they jump at you. That's a basic B&B. You can do your anti-air rev dodge into EX Tomahawk, EX counter, EX Hind, then EX Harrier kicks, then behind. So that's one of your main anti-air combos that you can do. You can also just end in EX Hind, and you can get your safe jump from this. So that way you can save meter. Let's talk about her safe jumps now. Her safe jumps are probably like the main reason why you would play her, I think, because she's able to avoid a lot of the DP stuff in the game that's annoying a lot of other characters. Obviously, you can find safe jumps with other characters and avoid them, but I think she's really good at finding safe jumps out of the cast. And I think her playstyle kind of fits that, because she wants to hit you with so many overheads and dive kicks, right? Let's say you land the hit with anything, and you end in EX Hind, the spin move. This would be your safe jump, right? I'm going to set rock to DP on reversal. So this would be my safe jump. If he presses a button, the jump B will hit. If he DPs, then I'll block it, as you can see. What I do for this safe jump is after EX Hind, I do forward jump light punch. Then after forward jump light punch, I hop and do JB. So it's gonna look like this. See? That's what I normally do. And then, if they press a button, there's another safe jump that you can do in the corner, and it's off of the counter. See? So that's what the safe jump looks like. You can do it in the corner. If they DP, you'll block it. If they don't DP and they mash, then they'll get hit by it. So that's the safe jump you could do in the corner, and then mid-screen, you can do EX Hind. You could do the EX Hind one in the corner, it's the same thing. So, but you choose which one you want to do. So those are the safe jump setups that I do. She also has a safe jump setup off of her dive kicks. So in the corner, this is what I would do. Seeing that safe jumps. And if they DP, then I'll block it. If they DP after the dive kicks, I'll block it. So for this, like, I'm whiffing my close stand C, and then I'm doing 2B, and then I'm doing heavy tomahawk into my jumping. And I'll block the DP and hit with the normal if they mash on wake up. There's also a safe jump she could do from Rev Blow. And you just whiff grab, and you hop at them. So it looks like this. There we go. So usually after Rev Blow, like, you can get a safe jump by whiffing the grab and then hopping and doing JD. And that's kind of what it looks like. The next thing I wanted to go over is some of her frame traps. So what you just need to know is she's got a few things that's plus. She has close C into feint is +3 on block. 5D in the feint is +2. And then you can frame trap this, her close C feint, into far C. The next thing she has as plus is EX Hind. Break, that's +1. So she can do that. She also has her backdash Harrier kicks. The third hit is usually +1 to +2. It can be as much as like +3 if you time it right. But it depends on like where you are. Because sometimes she'll be 0, but you're usually plus if you do it correctly. See, up to +4. And then her baffles is also plus, and it sucks them in at +1. If you time the baffles on their wake up, then you can be as much as like +11, +12 if you time it. And this is the setup for it. See, you could be up to like +10, +11 if you do it correctly. So those are all of her main like plus frames that you can use, and you can structure your offense through strike throw with that. If the opponent just defends, it will change your pressure, same as if they rev guard. If they just defend, then you can get multiple close C's. See? Because it doesn't push you back. But you have to be careful, because if they're JDing, then they can guard cancel. If they rev guard, then they will push you back even further. So you have to adjust your block strings for that. You see them rev guard, dash up and throw them. Or you could back dash and do EX dive. And then you're +4 because it's further out, right? And you can structure your offense that way too. The last thing I want to go over is the Tomahawk mix-up. It's the one mix-up I showed off before with baffles. This mix-up is what I've been using, and it works for a lot of like low to mid-range play, but high-range play, like high-level play, that's where they'll start to understand how it works. So the way the mix-up works is if they're crouching and you do EX baffles into EX Tomahawk and you break the Tomahawk, then you can get a cross-up jump B. You get a cross-up jump light kick. And that is really, really hard to see because obviously the Tomahawk is very fast. So you're going to be mixing this up with your jump light into grab, right? Just to put a strike throw in there. And then obviously when they recognize that, hey, I can stand block this, that's when you can use the plus frames to throw them, or you can just not do the cross up entirely and throw them, or you can do a deep jump in and continue your pressure. So that's what happens when they start to recognize that they can stand block it. If they rev guard, well, it will push you back, so you have to cancel immediately. But at that point, when they're pushed back so far, they can jump out. See? They can jump out of it. So you have to be careful, right? Like, if you do this, then they can't jump out of that because there's a lot of hit stun. And then you could go ahead and do the Tomahawk. And it'll hit them out of their jump frames. But you have to recognize that they're using rev guard. This mix-up is dependent on how your opponent is defending and what they're planning on doing. So you just have to make sure you're using this correctly. And I guess that's it. That's everything I wanted to talk about with Jenet and what I've been using to get me to SS5, and how I've been able to use all of this to get a high ranking in the game and have fun with it. So I hope that this stuff helps you out and it really gets you guys interested in playing the character. I think she's fun, but she's obviously not easy. I do know that she has a lot of work that can be done with her as well, because there's not many people playing her. So I'm hoping that this tutorial will open up more players to trying her out, and eventually we can see some more ideas. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something from it, definitely leave a like down below and comment if I missed anything. And yeah, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all take care. SonicSol out.